Hello, Lee.
Hello, sir.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Well, here we got a nice opportunity to do something that's not about assignments and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So we can chat a little bit. So that'll be fun.
Fantastic.
Who else is here? Lauren's here.
Hey, Don, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Excellent.
I'm trying to get a hold of the SBA and their web server is down.
No.
Oh, please contact us as soon as possible.
Oh.
Even though our website is down, do your best. Anyway. Who all's here? Chris and Mark and Lauren and Leah. And this is just basically, hey, I just thought I didn't have a whole lot to talk about, but there's some cool things that are happening out there. And I just thought we would just chat a little bit about that, right? What the heck? What the heck? I have, I'll put this away over here. I have been playing with a bunch of stuff, but one of the things that's kind of cool is I saw this new software from DxO. Have you guys seen that? What's it called? Pure raw. I'll bring this up share it on the screen so people listening at home know what we're talking about. And I got it. And I thought, this is really cool. This software is really cool. I started looking into it, and it's actually part of my DxO software that I already have. And I did not know that. So I got the DxO software out and started playing with it, and I just literally blown away. Sometimes, people come out with software and they said, oh, it'll do this and it'll do that. And you get it and you try it with something, of your own, and you find out that it doesn't quite do what they said it was going to do. But this thing really does. It really does. I've shot in Antelope Canyon 4 times. I doubt I'll go back. First time I went through, could do anything I wanted. Second time we went through, it was no tripods, but we had a good hour in there. Third time we went through, it was no tripods, and we had about 45 minutes. We had to come back, and the last time I went through, it was no tripod. 30 minutes in, 30 minutes out. Stop here, take that picture, keep moving. They went from having 5 or 6 trucks a morning to 60 trucks a morning. Pretty much all of it due to Instagram, people Instagramming the place. So it's now a freaking zoo. So I doubt I'll go back. That has nothing to do with my conversation about DxO though. And that was, I shoot with whenever I'm in Antelope, I've shot with a Nikon DF, and before that I had a Canon crop sensor. Well, I don't even go in the crop sensor, but I'll pull those files out to check it. Well, the Nikon DF exposure inside the canyon is f4, a 30th of a second at 1600 ISO. And if you put your camera on that and you shoot, you'll get beautiful red walls and all of that. And you also get some definite noise. The reason 1600 ISO is you can't take a tripod, so you need the fastest shutter speed you can get. So at 800 ISO, that's a 15th of a second. And no, I don't handhold a 15th of a second very well at all. But I shoot a 24 or a 28 millimeter lens, so 30th of a second, keep it frozen. So pull those files into DxO. I want to see if it cleans up the noise. Not only did it clean up the noise, it fixed some distortion that I didn't realize that I have because they're canyon walls, not building walls. And it sharpened the image by cleaning up the noise, actually sharpened it. It is really astounding. It is not the same approach that, what's it called, gigapixel, those folks.
I think so.
I can't remember the name of the company that makes it. Topaz. Topaz has a thing called gigapixel that
Right.
looks pretty darn nice. It really does look pretty darn nice. But this whole new way of looking at it, because this is a pre-raw thing that you do. So you take a raw, sharpen it in the pre-raw sharpener, then you save it out as a raw that then goes into your Lightroom or Capture One or Photoshop, whatever you're going to take it to do the final editing on it. I'm literally amazed. Yeah, you start combining that software with the new Photoshop software that'll, Mark, is it quadruple the size of the image? Is that what it is? Or it just takes it to 600 megapixels? What is it, 400 megapixels?
It doubles it. It doubles it, but the guy on Pixel Perfect doubled it like 3 or 4 times. Like he kept enhancing it. So he enhanced the enhanced image.
That was the first time I was very disappointed in him. He took a 1200 pixel or an 800 pixel image and did it. Come on, there's not enough information there for it to work. It did, yeah, it did okay. Yeah, trust me, I've done it with one of my Canon files. It does a really nice job. But you're not going to take some piece of crap 600 pixel wide thing and double it to, anything usable. It's just not going to, because there's no information there. There's a dot for an eye, for instance, so can't make up information. But it certainly does. So that combining those, I thought, So I took a panoramic, what I did with multiple frames, a 6-shot panoramic, which was already a big file in Photoshop, in Lightroom. Now that's a raw file. Then I opened it into this noise removal stuff. Wow. I got to tell you, I think it's a 95 megabyte file that probably could be printed size of a barn. It's so sharp and extra sharpness added. So neat stuff coming along. You guys found anything that's pretty cool that you want to share?
Actually, I'm going to do an experiment where I'm at the grocery store grabbing a couple things, and then we're leaving tonight to go to Maine because my mother-in-law's surgery is going to be next week. So I don't have a wide angle lens. I got my 50, but I have a kit lens that's like the kit lens from the D90. So it's, whatever that is. So it's got the wide angle to it. I'm actually going to try an experiment since it's not, I'll take some pictures while I'm there, but this trip isn't about photography. So I'm going to try an experiment where if you put the DX lens on the full frame, you can switch it where it'll automatically crop it to the DX size.
Right.
And I'm going to test out using the wide angle and letting it crop it, but then enhance it and see if you can tell the difference. Because if you crop it down, but then you do that enhance and it doubles the size, then theoretically, if it's somewhat sharp, then you could actually end up with a larger pixel, a larger picture.
It's just going to have that crop factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm going to try it just to see what it looks like.
Oh, very good. Hey, Sid. Sid is here. Usual happy self. How are you, Sid? I can see him smiling there.
Hey, Don.
Yeah.
This the DxO program you're looking at here,
Yeah.
is there much of a difference between what that does to the raw file when compared to Nick pre-raw sharpener?
Night and day. It's not even close.
So it's a worthwhile buy, you think?
Well, here's the thing. It's $89 and it's standalone. It's part of DxO's Photo Lab. Photo Lab 4, Photo Lab 5, whatever the current one is, it's actually part of that. So for another $40, I'd tell you to get the whole Photo Lab. But if you're absolutely, you absolutely know you're going to be working in Lightroom, there's nothing else, I would say it's easily worth the $89.99. I'll tell you what it's really worth. It's really worth downloading the free trial and giving it a shot.
Yeah.
Now, before anybody thinks I'm making the money, I got no affiliation or nothing with DxO. I mean, they don't even send me a birthday card. You know what I'm saying? So
I haven't used Lightroom in years. I've been on Capture One for, I don't know, 8 years, maybe, something like that.
yeah, it doesn't matter. It goes back into any.
Does it leave it as the original camera file, like if you're using a Nikon?
It turns into it turns everything into a DNG. So it has to have a uniform file format for it to work across platforms.
So this is called DxO Pure Raw?
Yeah.
Is that the title?
Yeah.
Okay. I have DxO. I have to see if that's included.
Do you have the DxO Photo Lab?
I do believe.
Yeah, it's in there. It's called Deep Prime Sharpening.
Okay.
It's already built in. So
I'll check that. Thank you.
Yep. Sid, what is up, my friend?
What's happening? How are you? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
Yes. I
And
just
by the
came
way,
back from my.
I was going to say a big shout out to Mark Lund for handling things for us last week. I appreciate that, Mark.
Yes, I echo
Absolutely.
Don because he did a tremendous presentation about what's about the workbook, so the website. So it was tremendous. He was so helpful. It was really, really good. So yes,
Yep.
go Mark. Very smart.
It's up on my YouTube channel for anybody who wants to see it. So a good discussion, a good hour and a half discussion of using Squarespace and what you can do with it, how to do things with it. All right, well, I get rid of this. We don't need to sit and look at DxO. I suppose we could, just for the heck of it, we could, Sid, tell us what's going on with you, my friend.
What's going on? Look, I spy Doug Beals hiding in here. I can see him. There he is. Hello, Doug. I've known Doug for, oh my gosh, for like forever, right? Like, when did we meet?
Well, I think probably almost 20 years ago, I met you at a local art show in Nashua, and
That's right.
immediately fell in love with your work because you're a fabulous photographer. And we run into each other, I don't know, a couple times a year, maybe.
Yeah, every once in a while we bump into each other. Yeah.
I know. And it's always
Now,
a good conversation.
You're a photo teacher, right? Like you teach high school?
I had my own business, photography business, for 20 years, 1985 through 2005. And then I dissolved my business and I went into teaching. And for the last 15 years, I've been teaching at the high school in Nashua, video production and broadcasting with high school juniors and seniors.
That's right. Yes. Doug is good people. So I bumped into him. He sent me I think he sent me an Instagram message a couple of weeks ago, and he was just like, "Hey, can I get in on these meetings?" And I'm like, "Absolutely! More Nashuas need to represent here." So
Absolutely. I mean,
And
good to see you.
I'll tell you, I've been going through the photo talks. I'm back to last July. So I'm like working my way backwards instead of forwards. And you're all wonderful people. And I really can connect to a lot of what you're doing. I love photography. And when some of the famous photographers you've talked about, like Dean Collins.
Oh, Dean, absolutely.
So I go back like late 80s. I was really studying. Sid and I went to the same college, and photography college. So
You
we're
remember
kind of
the,
alumni of that too.
Do you remember the Dean Collins column that he had in one of the photo magazines? Like what he would do is he'd take a photograph, he'd break it down, he'd show you the lighting and everything. It's the only reason I ever had to buy that magazine. Other than that, it was full of ads and stuff like that. But oh God, is it great. You can still find his book, by the way. If you go to eBay and look for Dean Collins' book, you can still find his book, and it's relatively inexpensive. You can pay somewhere around $18 for it. And he actually made it up to the digital age. There's some digital examples in there. Very early digital, that early Nikon camera, that's a Kodak camera that was actually a Nikon kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know the story of why he quit, Doug?
I know, I don't.
Yeah, he was doing a jewelry shoot at his studio. I don't know if he knew he was sick yet. He may have known that he was sick. And the woman that he was shooting with was one of those typical clients who, I don't want it that, no, shoot it this way. And he slammed his camera down on the desk. He turned around and he said, I quit, and didn't show up. And so his assistant called him, and the next day called him and said, you coming in? He said, no, I told you, I quit. He just flipping quit. It was like, yeah, it's Thursday, 2:00. My career's over. Everybody have a nice day. Yeah. Interesting guy. And then a few years later, we lost him totally. So one of the best in the business, one of the best teachers you'll ever find. If you ever get a chance to pick up his book or his video, if you can find the video, I teach the Dean Collins method. So that's what I do.
We met him. He was in New Hampshire back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And I was a member of the PPA of New Hampshire at that time, and he came to speak to us. He was awesome. And I can swear that I met you or saw you somewhere, Don. I don't know.
Have you been to the
Very
post
familiar.
office?
No, but I think I've studied your lighting. I'm pretty sure I have at some point.
Well, it's great to have you here. Great to have new faces. Always
Well,
great.
thank
to
you.
have new faces.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
So Sid, you got your other shot. You're all inoculated.
I did. I just got back from vaccine number 2. The first one didn't feel. This one, like my arm is already starting to feel a little like down to my fingertips. I can feel it.
Judging from all my friends, tomorrow will not be a good day. Just basically cut it off, and you'll be fine Sunday.
Yeah, that's what everybody's been saying. All the people that I know that have gotten 2 so far have been like, "Oh yeah, at least 24 hours of high temperature."
I'm on exactly day 2, and I'm pretty miserable.
Are you? Oh.
Yeah, I was up all last night. Fever, chills, everything aches. Oh.
Well, hopefully it'll only last the weekend, because starting Monday, it's going to be nonstop for me for a few weeks. So.
No, I think actually today's already better. So I think the worst is over.
Did you have like a high temperature and stuff?
I didn't take my temperature, but I had chills. I just stayed on the ibuprofen.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. So yeah, shot. Yay. I got my little sticker. But no, it's been crazy. It's like the weather's better. And it seems like now that everybody's getting vaccinated, all of a sudden people are like, oh, the world's going back to normal and we can start hiring people again and stuff. So that yearly magazine that I do work for, that's usually like 2 weeks worth of work. I'm starting that on Monday. Yesterday and some of today, I've been trying to schedule shoots and stuff. So I've got 4 shoots on Monday, and I've got currently 3 on Tuesday, and I've got 2 on Wednesday, and then I've got a total of 16, and I've got to finagle shoots from now until I think their deadline is May 14th.
I think like everything, the surf is coming back in and getting back to normal, and it will take something huge to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
Something,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
really, really huge and calamitous. I think the surf is coming back in. I think Don Dobkins here, he was he's working with a rock and roll band, and they're already booked for the summer. Their venues are
Excellent.
booking them. Am I right, Don? Maybe Don, your mic may not be working. You're unmuted, but we don't hear you.
How's this?
Yeah, better.
Okay. Yeah, they have 3 or 4 bookings already. None of them begin until September though. So
Oh, okay, always for September.
right. So all these places are anticipatory about being able to do things indoors and whatnot, but it's coming.
Yeah, a guy wrote an article about 15 years ago, looking back at history and pandemics. Interestingly enough, pandemics, and in the decade after the pandemic, there's a huge explosion in arts, travel, and what a theater, that type of thing. So will that happen again? Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
I would think so, just because there's such pent up demand.
Yeah.
People can't wait. So while some people will be extremely cautious, you know, others will be fully vaccinated or have never cared or whatever, but they just can't wait.
Yeah. We have a photographer in Project 52 who lives on the west side of it's called the Western Slope in the Rockies in Colorado. And he's been thinking maybe I ought to do like a couple of fall workshops. I think he'll sell out. I think he'll sell out because people are going to want to get out by the time late September, early October comes. I bet he could do two workshops up there in Grand Mesa and places like that. And he lives there, so he knows all the places, nobody else goes. He's, the guy. So looking pretty cool. Well, before we do anything else, I want to share something with you. I have decided that at the ripe young age of 72, I'd go into business again. So this is an agency that I've created purely for the Project 52 students and some invited friends, Sid, get in here. And we're going to go after getting work for folks. So if you want to go up and check it out, some of the buttons don't work, some of the forms don't work and stuff, but really going to be a lot of fun. Every photographer has their own page. Go to all here. And so you've got photographers with their own page. Got Carla, for instance. She's got her little bio, her photograph, a nice portfolio. And we are going to market through SEO and Google Ads and try to bring stuff in. People can search by location as well. So we got some in North America, Europe. I just opened it up to all the rest of the Project 52 alumni. This is all, at this point, all the mentors, our mentees in the mentorship group. So I imagine going to be somewhere around 50 photographers. And get out there and approach clients with a little bit different way of doing it. Trained and experienced photographers. There's a thing called H something photographers. Anybody know what I'm talking about? H hot or something? I can't remember. It's a place like this. It'll connect you with the photographer you need, right? But it's one of those, the photographers have to pay money to be in, right? And there's absolutely no gateway other than does your credit card clear? So when you click on search photographers, there are 26,000 photographers signed up on this thing. You get who you're going to get on that thing, whoever's credit card cleared. That's the base level of it. We're not obviously we're not going after the big ad agencies. We're going right directly after direct clients, brands, small business, entrepreneurs, that type of thing. targeting gigs between 2,500 and 6,000, probably get the bulk of the work. And so I'm pretty excited about it.
Excellent. That looks good.
Should be fun.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
We're up and we'll be totally up by Monday. All the forms and things will be working, but all the pictures that you see here are obviously member pictures. So anyway, that's what I'm up to.
That's good stuff.
So who wants to share something else? What's going on?
I have round 2 on Saturday, as long as we're back, which we should be, not tomorrow, but next week, for the headshots for that art gallery.
Uh-huh.
There was I think 4 people that were not able to make the first one that I'm gonna do on next Saturday. So I have that right now.
Excellent. Who else is doing anything? Anybody working on a book?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think everybody
slowly, but I mean, I have a concept, and I have to put the time to go through the files and select files that would match up with what I have in mind. So I feel good about it. The concept changed from just travel photos to focusing on the people that I met while I was traveling in different places. So I think that would give a different dimension to it, because you don't see that. That's something that just isn't out there. And I think that's really worth it. If you're going into storytelling, a lot of people have the shots of the places, but there's not like going down a few layers to find out what it's like to live there, to be there, to have what your life's like. So that's the point.
You know what I haven't seen photographers doing as much as I really expected it to happen by now, especially when I remember back to 1999 and 2000, when you could get this little program and everybody on the planet wanted it. It was a little audio recorder, and you could record like an overdub words and attach it to a slideshow in Flash, and it would play these little like slides with audio over them. So kind of a multimedia. Then the New York Times did a fantastic article on snow, the avalanche up in, what was that, near Seattle, I believe? What was it, about 8 years ago? And one just about snowfall, the avalanche at Tunnel Creek right here, won just about every single graphic award for web design you could get, right? So look at this, right? This was huge in, well, they don't have the date on it. This was huge in, I want to say 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. Absolutely huge. And now you can do all of this in Divi. But they got the little videos. They've got audio, video, graphics. I'm surprised photographers aren't doing this. We've got, everything at our disposal, including a good mic on even the iPhone has a great mic on it, if you can put a little windshield on it and record audio and stuff like that. And I'm surprised I haven't done it, actually. I should.
Look at that map on
really,
it. That's great.
Really a great piece, heartbreaking as to what happened. But
put all your Arizona stuff together and you can do that, your road trip stuff.
I've thought about it, I really have. This is multi-page, by the way. This is the next peak. It was, a group of 7 or 8 skiers who basically did not have they didn't have what we have today. Now we can check our phone, right? Oh, storm coming from the south. So they're on one side of the mountain while this huge storm is building up on the other side of the mountain. The storm hits and an avalanche creates an avalanche, and it was pretty terrible. So
Even just doing blogs, like that would be a good way to make blogs more interesting than just a couple pictures and some text, you know,
Yeah.
having.
wouldn't it? Wouldn't it really? Get a little like Zoom recorder, whatever those little Zoom recorders, and record some audio. I think, there's some amazing things out there. Plus, a great place to get free music. Have I shared this with you guys yet? Free Music Association.
Yeah, when you had that jazz song on a video, you saved you
Oh, okay.
you linked it. Oh, you linked the song and then I looked at the site.
Yeah, Free Music Archive right here. You go there, you can search. You have to know what you're looking for, but you can find some pretty damn good music that is pure Creative Commons. So you can put it on a video or whatever. You're looking for CC and SA. If it has anything else other than, I think it's CC and SA, one of them, you have to give the artist credit. So you have to say who did it. Other than that, don't bother because it's going to be a big hassle. But you can search by license. So whatever comes up, you can grab it and use it on your video. And nothing makes your video better. Nothing makes it better than a little bit of an audio track. Who else is doing anything cool?
I mean, one of the things that I failed to think about when I was doing the photography in different places, except once, unfortunately just once, is to record sounds and little conversations with people while I was there. Because it's just, they're just so unique that it's only really find it in that one particular place where you'll hear certain kinds of things that are idiosyncratic of those places. And I realize now that that's what I miss doing. One of the things anyway. So going into the future, I will try
Just
to
make sure your phone's all the way up to 40 megahertz, 48 megahertz, I guess it is for recording. Because if it's at the standard 24, it's not that good a sound. So you want the best sound you can get. So make sure it's in your settings to make sure it's a bigger file, but it's better sound.
Well, I was doing it with my DSLR, doing video. So, the sound was relatively decent considering that.
Yeah, it's just raw sound going in there at that point. It's just raw.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is because of you, Sid.
What I do now?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, what's he getting? Oh, I hope I didn't make him spend money. Oh, nice. Look at that. Is that a U-turn or is that a Project Orbit?
U-turn.
Nice.
Too, baby.
Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. It's so simple.
What is it?
Turntable.
He bought a record player.
Oh my God, I want a record player so bad.
Old school.
I want a record player to put in the studio because a lot of kids aren't young enough to realize that there is such a huge difference in the way vinyl sounds compared to CDs and digital.
A lot of kids, all my kids have record players. All my kids have record collections.
Yeah,
They just.
I was reading an article that was saying over the last 12 years that every year it's gone up and up and up and up as far as revenue from vinyl. So that's kind of cool. It sucks going into like Target and they've got albums for like $35 and $40 and stuff like that. They're sort of marketing them at like collectibles nowadays rather than things you actually like take out of the package and put them on a thing, because now there's all the different colors and everything's transparent vinyl and it's blah 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 blah. But hit up yard sales and flea markets, man. You can get just stacks of them for hardly anything.
My wife and I bought one of those ones that looks like an old record player that has a thing out the back with the you can hook it into your computer and record the vinyl onto Audacity.
Nice.
Yeah. But it's not a turntable, it's a record player. It's like shooting in low JPEG. That's all I'm
Yeah.
gonna say. It's like low JPEG.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a lot of people buy those little like briefcase ones. I see a lot of kids
yeah,
carrying.
we have one for the living room. Plays all.
Yeah.
I've got like 350 45s.
Yeah.
We like stack them up and play them on the 45s.
Yeah, that's excellent. Congratulations. I just read a thing, that company, they just, because they've been doing so well, they just moved into like a brand new facility. They just posted, they just made their 100,000th turntable. So I thought that was pretty
Wow.
cool. Yeah. And they're so
And
simple.
my kids are talking about those things. Like I remember when I was a kid and I'd hear the neighbors and the parents talking about their record players and the new stereophonic sound. And,
yes.
But so the kids, when they are talking about their music, and my old town I lived in was estate sale heaven. So, they went to all the estate sales for records, and there was a record shop that sold old vinyl. So they're really into it. And they're like 30 to 40. So.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day in the studio, I had a great big TAC, I think it was the brand of it, that played the
TAC.
12-inch reel to reel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
I remember when reel to reel was like, you were really something when you would play reel to reel.
That great big reel to reel. So the thing had to be like this. I mean, it was as big as a Fender amp with those two.
Size.
And we recorded. My assistant would bring stuff in, and we recorded all those dance mixes. Remember, like Duran Duran, and you could buy the LP of some stupid Duran Duran song that was awful at 5 minutes, but they made it 24 minutes.
Yes, 12-inch. That's a lot of my collection is 12-inch 80s, 12-inch remix stuff.
And I hated it.
I love it.
Like, this stuff's cool.
My brother was a DJ for clubs in the 80s and 90s. So yeah.
Awesome.
He had the long version of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I had to have the long version. And I wrote it off because I wrote it off for the studio. Music for the studio, baby.
How about the long version of Inagata Davida?
I had a signed album of that.
Enough, Billy.
That was horrible though.
I'm sorry?
It was plenty long enough.
Exactly.
Didn't need to add any more of Inagata Davida.
I always like that
minutes
song.
of too much.
Yeah, the long version is the whole side of an album.
Yes.
Yep. So you had another record player previously, and you were trying to get the PA or the preamp thing to work.
I got the preamp. I got the Bang & Olufsen. So I'm going to. It looks like I should get at least 200 for it with the preamp on eBay. I just it's got a bad stylus. And I just there's a limit to how far I will go to like rehab something. And I'll try to find a stylus for something. I can't even read the number on it because it's so old. It's like, okay, out of my bailiwick. Other ones selling without a stylus are selling between $200 and $250. So if I put the preamp in there, if I can get 200 out of it, that'll pay for this one and the shipping paid for this one. And that's a break even. I'm good. That's
the way to do it.
Yeah. Now, I'm sad about the Bang & Olufsen because it's just gorgeous. It looks like a bachelor's pad turntable from 1974, something you would have seen in Playboy magazine with some guy with a pipe, and he's got his little Bang & Olufsen turntable there playing Miles Davis.
A neighbor across the street in Jersey that wrote for a stereo magazine. And I went over to his house one time. He showed me his turntable. It had all the glass tubes. It was this really, not the turntable, I'm sorry, the amplifier.
Yeah.
Had all these trick-looking glass tubes and huge copper wires strung around the place. It was really neat.
Well, that was when I was right out of college. That decade, it was all about stereo. There must have been 40 stereo shops in Phoenix. That's all they did was like, you go in and they'd have great big giant Bose things. They had the speakers that I really loved they looked like doors, little thin doors. They were about the size of a bathroom door, and you got two of them on each side.
Oh,
They were amazing. They were at that time they were $1,000 for each, and I got a pair of them used. Had them for a while, and then things change and we move. And now I've got a little tiny pair of Bose. Oh, and in the living room, our music comes out of a Google Home.
oh, okay.
It's amazing how far your taste level drops when you're like, now you're accepting the music out of a 1.5-inch speaker on a little gray thing
Right.
sitting on it.
Yeah.
But it sounds good.
We have a Sonos system, so we can play music from, and we live on 3 acres now, and he can play. I think he could stick a speaker in the jungle with a solar panel. But my husband, we have spent enough money on speakers in 45 years of marriage to probably have bought another piece of property.
Yeah. Oh, we were all audiophiles, and that's when I bought the Bang & Olufsen, and I had I don't know if you remember the turntable that hung vertically, so the record was flat against the wall, and
Yeah, I owned a vertical turntable made by Mitsubishi.
Yeah, you could absolutely control the weight of the needle because it was controlled by a little lever. It was cool.
Yeah,
but it's like
it was expensive.
Yeah, it was expensive. All that stuff was expensive. You can't even find it now. It took me a week to find this amp, this Yamaha or Sony amp over here. It took me a week to find that. So,
if you remember, the original Beatle albums were mono; they were not stereo.
Yeah, a lot of the old jazz stuff, a lot of the old.
Yeah, I've got some monos. I've got some early Blue Note things that are mono. Yeah.
Do you have any 78s?
Yeah, I do. I have 50 78s.
Do you?
It's Dixieland music. I don't much care for Dixieland, so I'll save them. Maybe they'll be worth something. But so it's analog music. It's like analog photography. It's got its own group of people. Anybody here shooting film?
I haven't shot film in quite a while.
Yeah, off and on.
Well, I'm still shooting film. Although I haven't shot anything in 5 months, but I picked up my camera again 2 weeks ago.
I've taken this with me on a walk now. I'm halfway through a roll of film. Taking it on a walk twice. Little Olympus. Fun camera. We'll have to see what the images look like, but I guess I'll have to get some hipster clothes now that I got a little Olympus.
Well, you got the record player, so you're halfway there.
And I got the record player. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna make an attempt when I'm home. Last time I didn't work out very well because my dad was like, sure. My mom was like, no. When I was in high school, I used my dad's film camera. Of course, that was in '91, I think. So I used my dad's film camera for my photography class, and they still have it. So I was trying to get it the last time that I was home, and my dad was like, sure, we're not using it. And my mom holds on to everything, and so she didn't want to let it go. So I'm gonna see if I can get that when I'm home.
You wouldn't give it to her own son, huh? She wouldn't give it to her own son?
Nope. My mom, I love my mom. We'll just
shoot a roll of film. Shoot a roll of film while you're home, and then show her the pictures and say, "Look what I can do with it."
And what kind of camera is it, Mark?
It's a Pentax. It's got the 35mm lens, and it has a telephoto lens, but I don't remember how long it was.
Are you talking about the infamous Pentax K1000?
Possibly black and silver.
Yep.
Yeah, they were black and silver, unless you were there was a professional model that was all black, but that was more money.
The Kodak Instamatics were black and silver as well.
To tell you how cool the camera is, the Pentax K1000, why was it named 1000 and why was that a big deal? Because it had 1/1000th of a second shutter speed on it. And the best everybody else was doing was 500 or 800. Right
I'll have to
after
look at
that
it.
came out, Nikon's F2 came out with a thousandth of a second shutter speed. And then the F3 came out with a 2,000th of a second shutter speed. Now, before you get excited, we moved from 1/60th flash sync on the F2 up to 1/80th flash sync. That changed the world right there. That third of a stop.
The old shutter speed wars.
So shutter speed wars. I don't know what the F5 has. I think the F5 has 4,000.
No, that is a good idea though about getting a roll of film while I'm up there. Maybe I'll do that.
Sure.
Get
Why
a
not?
roll of black and white. Yeah, if I get black and white, then I can take it to Midwest Photo Exchange and they develop it, and then you can rent the darkroom and do your own prints even.
You can always just hide it in your suitcase, Mark.
Yeah.
Your mom won't turn you into the feds, will she? Interstate theft.
She might notice that it's missing.
Mark, I wouldn't even bother printing it in the darkroom. If you've never printed in the darkroom, that's a giant, huge.
Oh, I have.
hit
When
of
we did
dollars.
photography. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was part of the
but
class.
I mean, really to the quality of whether you could use the image or not. I mean,
Oh, okay.
I printed for 25 years. I always thought I got to be okay. It's a whole mastering. I would just simply take them and rephotograph them on your digital camera. You know, they make those things to copy slides, slide copiers. You put it on the front of the camera,
Yeah.
aim it at a flash, and you put the slide in. Do the same thing with your film. You can run your film through it. Now you've got whatever your camera is. You've got a black and white negative in RAW, and then you can take it into your camera, into a Lightroom, double it with Adobe's stuff. You got a pretty damn nice sized file there. Put it in Photoshop and reverse it. Boom, you're done.
Yeah. And I have one of the negative folders for my scanner too, my flatbed scanner.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I might try that.
Well, you'll get a bigger file from your camera than you get from a flatbed scanner.
Will it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, bigger and cleaner. Anyway.
Yeah, you could do all kinds of stuff with those images when you get that bigger version of it.
Yeah, I've decided to shoot only black and white in my film cameras from now on. I'm just going back. I'm going to be like 27 again. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
I'm in a workshop where we're studying an Italian photographer that used color. Like the teacher that I first had, Ernst Haas, they kind of pioneered color photography. It was really interesting. I learned a lot. I took it so that I could pick up my camera again. I was having a hard time. But I have a lot of potential work here in Hawaii. On this side of the island, there are not any commercial photographers at all. People are it's slower to open up here, but people are anxious to get their businesses going again.
If you don't know who Ernst Haas is, just do a Google and you'll see some of his images. Really early color, very early adopter of color slide film, of transparency film.
And his specialty was motion blur. He did a lot with motion blur with horses. He has a series with horses. So I took my first photography class was with him and Jay Mizell. I didn't know who they were when I took the class. And he took me to a rodeo to show me, because I was not impressed with his class on motion blur. I thought it was dumb, but I was only 23. And so he took me to a rodeo to show me how come it was exciting. And he just loved photography. He was amazing.
Well, Ernst and Jay are two of the photographers who probably don't go to the bathroom without a camera in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take the garbage out without a camera in their hand. Famous story of Jay Mizell was dropping film off at the lab there in the Flatiron Center. Yeah, that was one of the fun things about working in New York for short periods when I would go in, because you could go and hang around the three big labs there at the Flatiron, just hang around and look around and see all the great names. I mean, some of them were so big that only the assistants would come in. But, you're standing there and there's a guy delivering, a big green Fuji box full of negatives, and it says Avedon. It's got the Avedon thing. So you're like, oh, Richard Avedon just shot that shit, man. That's so cool. But, Guy Bourdin would come in, and Arthur Elgort would be there just kidding around with people. That was their job, I live in Phoenix. I was like, Arthur Elgort's a god to me. In New York City, he's a working photographer,
Mm-hmm.
But they were double parked, and the assistant said, I'll take the film in. There's nothing to shoot here anyway. And Jay said, tell you what, take the film in, and when I'll take some pictures while you're in there. When you come back, I'll see if you were right. There's nothing to shoot there. And I had a hard time finding it, but I've seen the picture before. So he goes in, he comes back out, and Jay's smiling. And the next day they get that roll of film developed. And Jay took a picture of the New York skyline reflected in a parking meter, the little half curved parking meter glass. And it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, nothing to photograph here.
I think there's photographs everywhere, all around us, even when you're sitting at your desk. But
he's the type of person, he not only could shoot anywhere, he could teach anybody. I mean, he was always teaching. That was a lesson.
And his language was always very gentle and uplifting. Unless you've ever been around a gunnery sergeant on a U-boat. Yeah, some colorful days there working with Jay. I took a workshop from Jay in Santa Fe. It was a blast.
Yeah.
Was
he brutal?
Find that sign. Oh, yeah. Let's just put it this way: you were never unsure of whether Jay liked or did not like your photograph. If never up for contention, you had a really good idea whether he did or not.
Yeah.
Between that,
and he just fell under the sort of like the tough love kind of thing. Is that what his stuff was? Or
I don't think Jay was a born teacher. I think that when he did it because he wanted to help, but he had no
people skills
nurturing. And in other words, he nurtured his assistants. But if you were just some guy came to a workshop, I think you already set yourself up that you're some guy coming to a workshop, and he didn't suffer fools very well.
Definitely that. But I was like, I got a different teacher because I was a girl. My dad somebody gave us the class so they could get students when they started the workshops in Aspen, Colorado. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who he or Ernst Haas was at all. They were just old guys.
Well, it's amazing that you had. It's amazing that you had that experience. When was that?
1979.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then I saw him again. When I saw him again in his 80s, he was just so sweet, and
yeah, he was.
But I did see, because one guy kept picking on me in the class because I didn't know anything, and he was in the motion ruler. I thought that was dumb, and he was like getting fast cars and fast bikes, and that's why I thought it was dumb. I thought it was boring, and but I ended up having the best pictures of the class, so it ended up working well. They were very, very good to me. I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when we had all you need is one guy come in with a know-it-all attitude, and that can mess everything up.
Well, that's when I saw Jay not suffering fools.
This was Jay's home for, I want to say, almost 40 years.
Yeah. They just came out with a documentary of him moving out of the building, and somebody made a documentary out of all of that.
Oh,
And
I
just
you know,
the amount of shit that he accumulated over 40 years was
I
crazy.
actually shed a tear. I was never inside it. My brother was inside it once with another photographer that he was assisting. But I think Jay lived on the top, and these are all nothing but archives of photos.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing life. What a life. What an incredible life. But I have a picture of myself taken in front of the door.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's 1 East Bowery or 10 East Bowery, something like it's like 1 East Bowery. It's on Bowery. So it's really fun. And there's a bunch of art galleries down this way.
And what they turned it, what is probably all condos now, right? Because he sold it.
He sold it, but I don't know. I don't know if they turn it into condos or if, I think it's a protected building, so they can't tear it down.
Okay.
But the problem with condos, well, I live in Arizona, could be a different thing. There's no parking. There's zero parking at this part of New York. No, and there's no place to put a parking lot either. It's every square inch is covered. So that could be troublesome, but it may be for a business or something.
You know, what's interesting about New York is, I guess most towns and municipalities, when you build a multifamily building, for example, you have to build X amount of parking.
Yep.
In New York, it's the exact opposite. You may have, say, 200 people living, or say 200 apartments in the building, and you may have to provide, for example, say 10 parking spots because they don't want the cars.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the exact opposite.
The dirt for a parking lot and the dirt for a 10-story apartment building costs the same. When you're buying the dirt, you're just buying that first level. Costs the same. So, I mean, if you're going to put up a big, tall building and you want to, you can spend more on the dirt for the parking lot for that building than you spend on the building. So,
that's a lot.
It says that he works, he's a photographer in New York, Jan Clear, and Jan has always said this: New York is a challenge for photographers for a lot of reasons, a lot of photography going on, lots of whatever. But the biggest challenge in New York is simply logistics. How do you get your stuff from here to where you need to be? How do you get to shoot where you need to shoot? If you get a permit in New York for the southwest corner of Bowery and Fifth, you have to be on the southwest corner. I think it extends 100 feet or 150 feet each way down that. But if you go, oh, like the light's great across the street, you need another permit. And the cops will check you. Don't think for a moment that they're just going to walk by without checking you because you're not doing anything. They will check you because it's revenue to the city. You're on the wrong corner, $500 ticket. So just logistics themselves are incredibly difficult. What if you're doing a five-story walk up and you've got 5 cases of stuff that you got to carry up? Do you leave 2 cases of gear on the street while you hike 3 up and then come back? I wouldn't do that in New York. I think they may not be there. You know, it all becomes, how do we move around? And the people who can capture that and figure that out are the ones who do better. Less stress, that type of thing. It's all about getting it around. A lot of folks think that being a successful photographer has everything to do with how great your photographs are. And I would tell you that your photographs are about 1/25th of what it takes. The rest of it's personality, business acumen, and the ability to adapt. If you cannot adapt to challenges, wow, it's going to be a hard life. Unless you're shooting weddings. And then it doesn't really matter because you're out of your freaking mind. You're too far gone. We can't help you.
Yeah.
And if you were shooting weddings, you haven't worked for a year, or you didn't work for a year until like recently. And
Oh, Virginia, now hush, hush, girl. I just saw an ad on Facebook. This guy says he's shooting weddings. He's making $10,000 a month shooting weddings, and he's going to tell me exactly how to do it, Virginia. I just have to do his webinar. He's going to do a free webinar, and I'll learn how to do it. I think there was a mention of an ebook or a class or something at the end, but have you seen the one doing the
they're making the money on selling webinars because every wedding photographer I know, except for Samantha, because she won't do it, is selling. That's how they're trying to survive, is teaching.
Oh, for sure, Virginia.
But
for
I have been making a little bit of change auditing these classes. Oh, Virginia, you're really good at this. Will you audit my class while I teach it? Sure. You pay me and I'll audit your class and tell you if it's any good.
I have nothing against people doing classes or workshops or ebooks. Where I get upset is when the promise far outreaches the reality of it. So there's a guy selling for $900, I think it's $997. He's selling a course on how to do mini sessions and get rich doing mini sessions. I don't even know what a mini session is, but it has to do with consumer photography. And you're right, Virginia, a lot of those people are literally sitting on their hands. It's not like commercial where you have a client who needs photographs and a photographer who needs to make them. You have consumers who are afraid to go outside without a mask on. They're not like going, oh, hey, let's go to the park and hang out with somebody we don't know so they can breathe all over us while they're adjusting our clothing. It's doesn't make sense.
Or like in Hawaii, until recently, you couldn't even go to the park, without it in a group, or unless it was your family, you had to wear a mask. It's super strict here, and that's why they're the lowest rate in the country, because there's no hospital space for an outbreak. So, and tourism is their business, so it's hit business hard. But you know how they talk about, the wave is coming. There's a word for it here. It's called Hoku'ili moon. It's like the moon is out while the sun is out. So it's a time of transition. And so they talk about with business, it's Hoku'ili. It's the time of transition, getting ready to start working again.
Cool.
Good.
Very good. It is time to work again. Time for all. I think the pent-up demand is huge. I know some of our photographers, I think Stephanie left. She probably is not feeling well. Stephanie's getting calls. Alex in Spain is getting calls. So.
Yeah, I went to a nearby photo shop opened up in a new shopping center nearby. So I went by to see what it was. And it's a guy who takes pictures of the volcanoes and this side of the island. So it's for tourists and that kind of thing. And a print for our guest room. And he said that people are coming in all the time. Do you know photographers? Do you know photographers? And because it's considered small town, I figure I'll do what I did in Hemet. I'll do both consumer and commercial. But I'm going to charge a lot of money. And I told him the prices I would like to charge. Well, he asked me how much. So I just, with confidence, said the prices I want to charge. And he said, oh, those are good prices. So made me happy. And he said, just bring whatever and I'll refer you, because I don't want to shoot anything but what I want to shoot. And I don't want to do commercial. I don't want to do any of it. And that way Samantha can get in on elopements again on the island, and I can do the commercial. So
sure.
And he'll print for me. He's got a whole setup for printing at great prices, so I don't have to send out for prints.
Nice. Well, good. Good. Anybody else want to share? Sid, what's coming up this week?
Just the stuff we got. So we did a thing. I did a bunch of puppet stuff last couple of weeks
Yeah, I
to
saw some
work
stuff
with.
coming up on Facebook.
Yes. So that we have in our city, we have what's called the International Sculpture Symposium. We're on I think our 13th or 14th year. It's the only city in the country that brings in sculptors from all over the world, and they spend a month here making work that then they then donate to the city. So we've got about 40 pieces throughout the city. So this year, a local artist decided she wanted to do a project with and get kids involved. So we're doing 1,000 paper cranes, and kids can come here during school vacation week and pick the cranes up in our building, make the cranes, bring them back. And then the local hospital, they have this whole atrium area where they're going to hang 1,000 cranes from the atrium as you walk in, and they're going to make a big thing. So the public access channel got me involved, and I got the puppets out, and we did a bunch of little PSAs and stuff for this project. So that started yesterday. People are coming in and out of the building getting paper crane kits, which is awesome. And then next week is just the next 2 weeks are just doing stuff for this magazine. So it's going to be 16 different locations over the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to be running around like a madman. So that's nice.
What town are you in, Sid?
I'm in Nashua.
In New Hampshire?
Yeah.
Or Vermont, wherever that is?
New Hampshire. Yeah.
New Hampshire.
So the magazine assignments, they take me all throughout Southern New Hampshire. So like I go as far north as Concord, and then I'm sort of all over. And it's kind of nice. It's once a year. Usually it's about a 2-week block where I just get up and I drive around and go like crazy. This year's nice. The last 6 years or so has been primarily like restaurants and businesses and lots of food photography and stuff. This year she wants to spend more time focused on individual people. So I'm actually going to be doing some portraits, which is really nice. So that's got me kind of jazzed up a little bit because I love shooting people on location. So yay.
That crane installation sounds cool.
Yeah,
it's one of those subjects that tends to go viral. You know, my daughter did a long time ago. She did a stop motion video. We made a bunch of cranes for her, and she hung them in this empty closet we painted, and just brushed her fingers against it. That thing went viral. Her video, and it started her business. She was like 18, and then I did they had a crane set up in Alaska that I took pictures of. And that got a lot of views, and I sold, for stock, I sold quite a few of those images. Something about cranes, you know.
Yeah. It's good. And the one nice thing about this is the nonprofits that I've been working for this project. Like a lot of people don't realize that, you know, your city probably has a public access channel. And they're a resource because you can film stuff for free. Like all the stuff that we've been doing, it's just a matter of scheduling time to go in there and do it. But it's all free. All this stuff is free. And so like last October, we have every year we have what's called Art Walk, which is like an open studios event downtown, and all the artists open up their studios and people can come in and all that kind of stuff. Well, last year, because of COVID, we couldn't do that. So we got public access involved, and we basically did virtual interviews of the artists in their spaces that they then broadcast for a week and a half. And it was all free. And not only that, but then each artist that participated, now they've got a 30-minute interview that they can use for anything. They can use it on their website. They can use it on social media. And it didn't cost them anything. It just cost them the time to go in there and be interviewed and let the camera guys set up and stuff. So like, if, you know, like for people that are looking for video content and stuff, become friends with your public access channels. They're such an awesome resource, and they got all kinds of equipment, and they're good people. Usually they're really good people there.
Did that keep the galleries and the artists open during COVID? Because boy, I hear in Hawaii, all the galleries that I was going to be working with are gone. And then the shows I had in April of last year canceled in those galleries. They were older owners, so they didn't even know how to keep up with, you know.
Yeah,
anything.
a lot of the galleries, either they're by appointment where they only allow, you know, 4 people at a time and you've got to wear a mask. A nonprofit movie theater that I'm really good friends with up in Concord, you know, they've been closed for the last year, and they've been doing like virtual screenings where it's like you pay money and I don't know how that whole thing works, but like nobody's been into the theater. And I just, you know, like, man, I just hope that I hope they survive this kind of thing. But a lot of galleries have been closed, you know, like our studios, the building that my studio is in, we've got 9 studios. We have a stained glass place that like just they've never not been busy. They're so busy, it's crazy. But then there's a woodworker on this side of me, and then there's a jewelry maker on this side of me, and I haven't seen either of them since this started last March. So it's it's weird. It's just weird watching. It's weird being next to building, like studios that are vacant. I mean, they're in there, but their stuff is in there, but I haven't seen them at all. So I just come in every day just because, my wife's been working from home, so I need to get out of her hair. And being in here just helps me.
I like how you put that. You got to get out of her hair.
I don't want to bother her. She's nonstop right now because she works for a nonprofit. So she's super busy. And I'm like, I'm just going to come in here. And plus, if I come in here, I can keep myself inspired and motivated a little bit better than if I sit at home and play stupid Nintendo.
In the last hour, while I was listening, I made a photo magazine on Blurb, and if you like, Don, I'll share it, because my purpose isn't necessarily to have a final product, but it's, if you guys haven't tried to do this, that's how fast I put something together. And I've not used Blurb in a long time. I sort of started with a couple of trade books where I made 5 or 6 pages and abandoned them. But it's fast.
Yeah, it is.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, okay. Can I have the ability to share?
Hold on. I gotta give you and you should be, hold on. You should be ready to rock and roll.
Okay. Let's see. I want, which screen? Where's my screen? Book right. Is that good? Hang on a second. Desktop 1, desktop 2. It's probably desktop 1. It's not, here we go. Are you seeing a book right?
Nope.
It's interesting. It's giving me all of these options: desktop 1, 2, and 3, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Just choose the window with book right in it.
Okay.
It'll put a line around the window once it's selected.
You would think, oh, there we go, 1. Okay. Let's share that. Anything?
Nope.
No. Well, maybe it'll have to be another time, because I'm not sure what the problem is here.
Will it be available as an open link for you that you could put in the group?
How would I do that?
No, you know how when you're done with the magazine, you could have it where people could look at it?
Oh, I can do that. Sure, I can do that. Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't
Yeah.
uploaded it yet. I just finished it. I'm sitting here in preview mode. I thought, oh, I'll share it on the screen and show you how fast that can be done. And it's, for whatever reason, when I try to share desktop 1, and it is desktop 1 according to this, it is not sharing for you.
You can also, if you go to MagCloud has some very nice templates that you can download. There, it's
Oh, wait a minute. Here
more
it is.
advanced than Blurb.
Hang on. Here we go. It's a preference issue. This is what it is. Okay, now let's try it. One last try, and then I'll abandon hope. Yeah, share. There we go. This should work.
All right, there we go.
You got something?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all I did was put a picture in, write some text, say, the mix isn't important, because what I'm just trying to do is see how it's going to look on the page. What happens if I almost fill a page, right? So there's space around it. Will it work? Put some text box in, put a bunch of pictures in. Pretty easy to snap these things so that it looks like they're fairly evenly spaced. Again, that one's filling, bleed all the way to the edge. We'll find out when I get a copy back just how, nice it looks or how rough it looks when it's cut off. This one's got a little tiny space on the edge. Again, this is for experimentation purposes. So I see what the magazine does. How bad is it in the middle of these folds? This picture is going to be just fine. That one be a little bit weird if it doesn't.
What size
line up
magazine
right.
are you printing?
What's that?
What size magazine are you printing?
It's an 8.5 by 11.
Okay.
So, it'll be $6 plus I threw in a couple extra pages. The page price is, or no, it's like $4.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you guys are doing this, proof it on the cheap paper, but print it on the good paper.
Well, and for one copy, I'm willing to spend $2 extra on the good paper just to find out how good that is. I did, by the way, get, I spent their $7 on their sample paper pack. So that'll help me decide.
Yep.
And, I think that's something you might refer to all the time. But all of these things that I did while I didn't start till we started the call, and I finished at 2:00 on the nose. And now I'm ready to export it and go.
Yep.
If you haven't played around, this is what, Don's been telling me to do this for about a week or two, right? Just make one. You know what? It took me an hour and I've made one. And we'll find out with experimentation, whether it's any good. I will have spent an hour of my time and less than $10 probably of my money. And then I'll get it back. And then when I try to get more serious with another one, it'll have a better chance of working on the first guy.
Better and better every time you do it. I'll reiterate, one of the things I think that makes the book so nice is instead of the pictures I did at Cochise Stronghold a few weeks ago, instead of having a folder on my desktop full of these pictures, or God forbid I print all of these as 8 by 10s, because quite frankly, they're not all 8 by 10 quality. I know you're shocked. Like, Don, you don't take a perfect shot every time. I know.
Never.
The incredulity is palpable. But no, I'd like to see what they look like. But it makes more sense to put them in a book than it does to print a bunch of books and put them in a box.
And one of the things I did in choosing these pictures just now is, okay, here's one with a bunch of reds. That one's, subtle. Then there's a whole bunch of blue. Let me see how it handles blue, how it handles purple. Where am I going to be happy? So there's none of this stuff would fit together, right?
Right.
I didn't spend the time trying to make it be all Northern California or whatever. That's not really the point.
It's like a sampler book.
Yeah, I mean, truly, it's a test or blurb. It's a test book or a test magazine in this case. I think I'll take the same thing and sort of toss it into the trade book as well and see whether I like one over the other for inexpensive print forms.
Yep. Thanks,
So,
Don.
for those of you who have been on the fence, 1 hour while I was on a call.
Yeah, really. And you get it back, you look it over. Your first one will probably not be your final. You're going to get one
absolutely.
back,
This is a
look through it and go, okay, I got to move this, I got to move this. Then the next one is going to be good.
Yeah.
Let it go. Move on to the next book,
Right. Yeah. In this one, if I did end up making a book, I'd probably pick a third of the pages that actually could create some sort of theme instead of throwing in 2 images from the Serengeti at the end.
Yeah.
But I needed red. So.
All right.
That's cool.
Thank you so
I've been
much.
sorting images. That's good to know. It goes fast.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, when I did this, I didn't use any templates. I used blank pages. It's very easy to just move the pictures around. So instead of trying to fit into their templates, I just dragged an image in and sized it.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about their templates.
What's that?
I'm not really crazy about their templates.
Yeah, well, you can make some and save them. So if you have a thing that you want to repeat, fantastic.
So MagCloud, you like Don's? You like MagClouds?
MagCloud has some very good magazine templates. If you want to make it look more magazine-like, now he's using the Blurb magazine, but it's much more portfolio-ish, you know, 1 or 2 images per page, that type of thing. That works really, really great. But if you were doing something and you wanted to, let's say you were doing a sales piece for your beverage photography or weddings or destination weddings, MagCloud's going to have better templates for you than Blurb.
The kind of
And it's
thing where,
much
where the
easier to use
text
their
is
templates.
a bigger, is the MagCloud where text is sort of the, at least 50%, if not more, because
Yeah,
you're
they
right.
no, they have some pretty simple ones, but yeah, they do have more text. Yeah, the Blurb ones don't really even have text, I think, unless they have like descriptions and stuff.
I don't know, I just threw text boxes together and
Yeah, you
Check
put
away.
your text boxes in there. So each one of them has their own sort of thing, but it's nice to know what both of them do. That way you can get it done. But I mean, my gosh, to make a book in so short a time, you know?
yeah, and one of the things that it does to make things easier for you. So, you know, I made a book, I chose the font, I made them different sizes sometimes, and I made different colors. Like this one, my text is, well, you're not seeing it anymore, but what I would do is I would make text that was complementary to the image, the color. Once you select a color, it'll hold on to like your last 12 colors used.
Okay.
So if you have, you know, some black and whites and you want to be kind of sort of a medium gray, so you can get text on top of the picture, but you don't want it to be stark, right? You want it to be visible, but a little bit subtle, and you've picked your gray, it's still there for you if you do, you know, a black and white picture and then write on a color picture and then go back to the black and white. You don't have to search for the color again. You can, I mean, you just go right back to the one. That's part of how it went so fast, is I picked my font, which I use on all of them. And even though I changed colors on the type, I could quickly grab one that I used before, or else just use the color wheel if I needed, you know, I needed a color that was not yet used.
Do you use MagCloud to print with Blurb, or MagCloud offers printing of books just like Blurb does?
They're actually the same company,
Oh, really?
but MagCloud is a little bit different approach to it. Yeah, Blurb bought MagCloud a couple of years ago.
So Blurb allows you to use a MagCloud template?
No, you just do it through MagCloud.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just looked at it. They have templates you can download for InDesign. And they even have really good instructions on how to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem with InDesign, unfortunately, is that it's a very expensive program because you got to buy the entire suite of Adobe products to get InDesign.
Well, you can be a member of the cloud too, though, Don.
That's what I'm saying. You have to be a member of the cloud, the entire suite. You can't get InDesign as a standalone.
Oh, as a standalone, yeah.
So it becomes, you know, a fairly pricey thing when you move from $20 a month for Photoshop and Lightroom to $55 a month for, you know, to add on just one program that you might think you want to use. But the other option is to use Publisher. It's called Affinity Publisher. Yeah, Affinity Publisher. So a $50 standalone program. You can do anything with it that you want to do. So another way to go. I had to do a show on putting together a magazine. You guys be interested in that?
Yeah.
That would be good. I'll give you some images to use.
Sure. I'd love that. I'd rather use somebody else's pictures than mine. I'm too used to mine. Yeah, we can talk about that. We can do that. That'd be fun.
Well, I gotta go.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna let everybody go. Thanks for coming up. Sid, what are we gonna talk about next week? Let's tease them. What do you got?
I don't know. I'll try to be here for next Friday. I've got to be in Nashville. I've got to be in some surrounding towns for that thing. So if I can make it here for 4 o'clock, I will try to make it here for 4 o'clock, but don't hold me to that.
Come on, Sid, you gotta get your editorial calendar rocking and rolling.
Oh, Jesus. You saw how disorganized I was.
I think I might, since we're talking about zines, I might grab 3 or 4 zines from photographers that I know and bring those.
There you go.
Other people have done with their little books. Right?
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. Have a great
I saw
next time.
an article about alternatives to photo whole Adobe programs. So programs, and the one for InDesign is called Scribus, SCRIBUS.
Yeah, no, don't go there.
Okay.
No, go to Affinity Publisher. The all that free stuff is all open source JavaScript shit, and it's not what it's cracked up to be. The learning curve on that thing is so high to make it do what you want to do. It is free and it is a good program, but the learning curve is like off the charts.
Hey, Jay, I've got all 3. I've got Affinity Photo, Affinity Publisher, and Affinity Design, and I love all 3 of them.
Yeah, I have Affinity. I have some of them.
Yeah.
Publisher and Photo.
I would say Affinity Publisher is an absolute replacement for InDesign.
And it's inexpensive too.
Affinity Photo is a very good substitute for Photoshop, but there's a lot in Photoshop that you can't get in Affinity Photo. Depends on what kind of user you are. If you're a straight photographer shooting straight photography, I would say I'm not sure I'd ever even have to come out of Lightroom or Capture One for that. Do it all in Capture One and be done with it. But for me as a designer, I need the type tools and I need to do other things and I need a little bit more control. Plus, you better be able to deliver files to your client that they can use. So I don't know, but I think you can save Affinity files as PSDs. Am I correct?
Yes, you can.
Because you don't want to deliver them an Affinity file, ever. It needs to be a PSD file.
Yeah, you can do that. You can save it at almost all, SVG, JPEG, all those. The only thing that Affinity Photo will not do is it doesn't have the capabilities of doing animated GIFs yet.
Well, actually, that free animated GIF thing online is better than anything I've seen so far.
That's true.
GIF Maker or whatever it is. Let somebody else tote it, All right, everyone. Have a great one. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one, everybody.
See you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Have a good week.
everybody.
Bye.